Our next card of the day is Delay. One generic and a blue instant counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, exile it with 3 time counters on it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. And for those clueless few who have no clue what suspend is, at the beginning of your owner's upkeep, remove a time counter from that card. When the last counter is removed, that player plays it without paying its mana cost. If it's a creature, it gains haste. So yes, if you have a card that says players can't cast spells from anywhere other than their graveyard, they can't cast it. Or if you have a Raptor's Cage, they can't cast it despite them having to cast it. They can't. They just can't, okay? They can't even. Which is pretty cool. It comes up sometimes, but I think this card really shines in the more higher power metas. But before we get into those discussions, let's talk about the flavor text. Essentially, you're seeing is a force field, and the wizard is sort of delaying what seems to be inevitable. I'm not sure if the rocks are coming towards them, but they're sort of stunting the speed at which they're coming at them, which is neat. It's like a little pillow fort effect, kind of. Sort of pulling off a Matrix type thing here. And I think that really shows with Suspend, which is really neat. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there was like a red Suspend card that did something like this. Like this to me seems somewhat red, at least. Maybe there's some tweaking you have to do there, but like I like the fact anyways, regardless if it's red or not. I think it's really neat. This makes counter spells because they're illegal. Then I have no legal targets after the upkeep. Basically just becomes a better counter spell in that case. But a lot of times it doesn't do that. And it just means you're going to have to wait. You're stopping the opponent from doing their play and you're gaining tempo for yourself, which could be pretty strong. I'd much rather prepare for a stronger effect that's like at 8 mana, such as Expropriate, than having to prepare for it now, right? In that case, it's like, oh, the person who cast Expropriate, they had their card delayed. Well, you just kill them before their card gets through the stack. And bam, you don't have to worry about Expropriate. That delay essentially saved the game. And that works really neat that way. There are also cases where delay can also help you save some of your spells. Like maybe you don't want your stuff maybe you don't want your thing countered. And now this is very niche. I don't know why this would come up, but maybe you delay your own spell just so that way you negate their counter spell and you still get to cast your spell later. Now, I'm not saying you should do that, but it's there. It's okay, it's there. It's really neat. There's a lot of neat stuff you can do with this. There's nothing really too spicy about this other than it essentially slows the games down, or not slows. I mean, it's a permission sort of spell, so it does in of itself slow games down. But the fact that this gives you so much tempo in 3 turns, if you're playing in a high power pod, this essentially is just a counter spell. Like 3 turns, a lot happens in 3 turns. People play Ughhh, people play Expropriate. Those 3 turns are gonna be crazy. And so having their, say you're on turn 4 drop, come in at turn 7, is that math? 3 turns later? Then it's not going to be that impactful compared to how impactful it would be at turn 4. It loses them a lot of tempo. Now you're down a card, but that's just the nature of counter spells. It's just how it works. I think it's pretty easy for that matter. Yeah, so all in all, I would say if you guys take anything from this video, play this in high power plus. You will not regret it. It's super fun to play with too. Like, oh, yeah, this thing is, you can cast this thing now on your upkeep. And then it's like, it's fun for everyone involved, I think. It's sort of like Arcane Denial in that sense. But I think it's generally better despite it having that sort of fun factor into it. It's better the higher your meta, because the quicker you can end the game and the whole suspension counter doesn't matter. And then after that, that's basically all there is to say about this card. I wouldn't really play it. I mean, you could play it on other power levels, but like at that time, it's just like you're spending a card to stop someone else from playing their card that turn, and now you're down a card, and they still have the potential to play that card, so you're just losing a card. And it really doesn't want, you don't really want to play a card that works like that. I know we do have like things like Path to Exile, but having them play that card just and not being able to get rid of it permanently, it's not the best. Of course, you can always counter it later because they do have to cast it, but why stop it now when you can do it later? or when you can win or something like that. So I don't know. Anyways, thanks guys for watching this video. Peace out, and I'll catch you guys later.